Friday, June 20th, here on the Just Baseball Show. You got the three of us. That's Jack McMullen, Arm Layden, and I am Peter Apple. We're not quite getting the fingers ready. We're getting the harmonies ready because, Jack, you want to go high? I'll go low because Arm ain't doing shit.
Let's go the other way. I'll go low. I'm feeling low today.
You always go low and you always make
Okay,
me
I'll
go
go high
high.
then. I'll go high.
Perfect. All right. Three, two, one. Mailbag.
Mailbag.
It's the mailbag where we collected all questions from our Discord, the best baseball group chat in the world. The link is in the episode description to join, while also grabbing some questions from our Twitter page and our Instagram. You can find both links in the episode description. We got 10 of them, all bangers. And Jack, you're calling a game soon, so I say we get straight into it.
Okay, fine.
Arm, you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Let's
Arm's
do it.
got Kona by his
Yeah,
side, his
Kona's
dog.
coming to check in on me.
I was going to call Aram Scrooge again for not doing the mailbag thing, but number one, it's a tired act because he's never going to do it. Never
Yeah.
has, never will. Number two, he's got a dog next to him, so he's not Scrooge anymore.
No, that's my saving grace is that I'm a dog guy like through and through, and
Dude.
otherwise people would think I'm the most miserable person on
There
earth.
would not be a single redeeming quality about you aside,
I
like
agree.
if you didn't like
If I
dogs.
wasn't such a supreme dog person.
Yeah.
We're just off to a great start here. So, the first question I texted both of these guys saying, I'm having so much fun with this one. It comes to us from Aloha Gopher in our Discord. And the question is pick a few of the current buyers at the deadline, and instead of a trade, pick one player from their roster from 2000 to 2010 who would fit their needs. And let's see some deep cuts. Nothing too easy. So I went into my bag and I got 5 teams here. Would you like me to run you through some of the players I chose for the teams?
Yeah,
Yes.
sure. I'll tell you right now which teams I have. I've got a pick for Philly,
Okay.
Tampa, the Cubs, and the Astros.
Perfect. I have Phillies, Yankees, Dodgers, Tigers, and Giants.
Cool. Okay.
Aram, do you have any teams that you picked out?
I'm bouncing around on a few different ones, so there's a couple I'm gonna wait to hear what you guys say, and then I'm gonna base which ones of mine I'm picking off of that because there's some funny ones.
Let's do Philly first. Jack, because you and I are both on the Phillies. Who did you pick?
Luis Robert this, Luis Robert that. Give me Shane Victorino in center field. I need Victorino in center.
Yeah.
What I was thinking for the Phillies in 2008, finished fourth in Cy Young voting, 1.95 ERA with 41 saves. Philly could use a bullpen arm. Give me Brad Lidge.
Okay, so I was torn between Lidge and Victorino, full transparency. I was also thinking maybe that fever year from Aaron Rowand, but I settled on
Aaron Rowan
Victorino.
did cross my mind, but there's no way he was good enough for this exercise.
No, but like Victorino was, and Shane Victorino is like kind of that table setter at the top of the lineup. I like Turner in the leadoff spot, and obviously I like Schwarber in the leadoff spot when Harper's healthy, but there's something about like Victorino hitting seventh in this lineup that fires me up. But Brad Lidge was absolutely across, like on the table for me.
Did you have anybody written down for Philly that you'd like to add in arm, or did you not
I
choose
actually
Philly?
did have Victorino.
Okay.
It is crazy though. Doing this exercise made me realize that like the Phillies center field thing, like they didn't have some obvious options in that time span at all, really, outside of that.
Yeah.
I was hoping like maybe we could get Bobby Abreu to fake it up the middle, but really,
No chance.
not great out there. I was thinking like, well, maybe we can get like Jason Worth, to move around a little bit. Victorino is the best option out there, I think, like pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
So I'll cover the Yankees really quick. I think the Yankees need a bullpen arm. Jake Cousins just went down with Tommy John surgery. Luke Weaver is out with a hamstring injury. Yankees need a bullpen arm that they can trust.
I'm not smiling at Jake Cousins getting hurt. I'm just smiling that Jake Cousins was the first name that came up for you.
Well, it's because
That's
he's going
why
to be out for
that's
the
why we
rest.
need to dig back to the 2005 for an arm.
He's going to be out for the rest of the year, and he's been pitching really well. He's got an ERA in the mid twos, so that is a big arm. But I wanted to look at a lefty, and obviously I could go with Mariano Rivera. Nice, but that's not a deep cut. I want a lefty because we only have one in the bullpen with Tim Hill. Give me Mike Stanton. 2001 All-Star, threw 80 innings to a 2.58 ERA, 3 World Series rings with the Yankees, career 1.54 ERA in the World Series over 20 innings. You wanted a deep cut? There's a deep cut.
Mike Stanton and Giancarlo Stanton on the same team would
I
be
know.
the single most confusing thing in the history of baseball.
That's why it would work. You want to
that is a
confuse the
crazy
opponent.
that legitimately, and also the craziest part is people through the years have always accused, like, not accused, but always thought like, oh, like maybe Giancarlo's juicing, he breaks every Statcast record. He never did, but Mike Stanton, and not
He
like
did.
the pitcher actually did show up, I think, on the
The
was it
Mitchell
like the
report,
Bosch
I
report
think.
or whatever,
The Mitchell report?
the Mitchell report.
I think so.
I don't think that's relevant. He could do a couple of steroids on my team. We need him.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
that's
I mean,
also an
steroid
interesting
era
part.
is
That
fair play.
can
Yeah.
you do the roids
Yes.
still
You can
if
do
you were
half the
doing them back
roids.
then?
You can do half the roids. So
Okay,
that
half
2.54
roids.
ERA is probably a mid threes. We'll still
Oh,
take
can
it.
I go? Can I go young Yasmani Grandal then for one of these contenders? Give me that.
Was he 2000 to 2010? When did he debut?
Late 2000s, I think. He's been around for a minute.
Yeah, he has been around for a minute.
One that I really like too, and I wanted you guys to help me pick which of the two. Padres, I just wanted to get them another bat. Corner outfield, we know about the left field situation. Brian Giles felt like a
Ooh.
pretty good one.
You right there for a second.
What Brian Giles like super underrated. I mean, really, I mean, the guy put up some really good seasons. I thought about him as an option, but he was a little bit older. But even then, I'm looking at like Brian Giles' 2005 season. He had a 147 WRC plus and a 6 F4. If you stuck that in left field right now for the Padres, it would be a game changer. Then I was also thinking of Adrian Gonzalez, who I think bat wise better, but first base, is there as much need there with the Padres? Not as desperately, but he would definitely elevate. But I lean towards Brian Giles.
I like Brian Giles too because the bottom of the Padres lineup, they are not playing good baseball, and it's a bunch of just dudes who you've barely ever heard of, and most of them are playing in the outfield. So I would take Brian Giles. I think that's the answer there, even though I love the Adrian Gonzalez shout.
Yeah.
Cool.
Moving on, or go ahead,
Yeah.
Jack. Go
I
ahead.
was just going to go rapid fire through mine. I know you have a Cub, but I've got a Ray and an Astro. My Ray, what do they need right now? I understand Taylor Walls can pick it, but like, come on. Jason Bartlett at short for Tampa would solve a lot of problems.
What was the peak Jason Bartlett WAR season?
I think 6.5 B WAR.
No way.
I'm serious. Yeah. Jason Bartlett, let me go to Fangraphs and actually tell you like WRC plus and F4 right now. Jason Bartlett had one fever dream season. The rest of it was like incredibly so-so. But Jason Bartlett in 2009 had a 136 WRC plus and he was a 5.3 win player.
Oh my God.
Love it. Hit 320 with 14 bombs and 30 bags. Give me Jason Bartlett at short for Tampa.
I love that
Way
one.
better than I remember.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
dude.
very low hanging fruit. Sorry, Jack. Before I forget, Ichiro to the Mariners. Like
Not
they
a
just
deep
Yeah,
need-
but that's
though.
too obvious.
You're too
Yeah,
obvious.
but
Aloha
like,
Gopher asked us for
I could just
deep
hear
cuts.
somebody saying that, and like, how did you not mention that? Like, I know people wanted deep cuts, but that would be really nice on that team right now.
How
Very
about Sean
nice.
Figgins at Seattle? I'd be all about that. Houston, mine for the Astros. What do they need? Like, I'm kind of done with the Altuve and left thing. Carlos Lee in left field would solve problems.
Carlos Lee. We were just talking about him the other day, actually, about his Marlins stint.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was not good for the Marlins, but he was done then. He had some really nice years. He was a RBI machine.
He was a 30 homer, 110 RBI guy.
Yep, that's a good one. I like that one.
I was thinking about the Dodgers, and this rotation needs to eat some innings. They rank second to last in innings from their starting pitchers this year. Even though Emmett Sheed came back and really flashed some strikeout stuff, he looked good, but I want a 200 innings guy. Chad Billingsley. 2008, 3.14 ERA, and then in 2009, he was an all-star in 196 innings. He's going to pitch to a mid-threes, low fours. Just get you through a lot of games. I think Dodger fans would love Chad Billingsley just slotted in the three-hole of this rotation.
Well, if we're talking innings, Brewers, they need innings. Give me Chris Capuano, 2005.
Great pull.
35 starts.
Great pull.
35 starts from Chris Capuano in 2005. He went 18-12.
Perfect.
219 innings.
Sure.
And a 3.99 ERA. The next year actually was probably better. You could go 2006, where he had a 4 ERA, but the underlying was way better. He turned in a 4 F4 through 221 innings. I think they would kill to have. I mean, it's like it's like Quintana, I guess, right now. But they could use another.
That's what I miss from pitchers, getting a decision every start because they're going into the
18-12.
Yeah, I love that. I have another one for the Tigers. I think they could certainly use a shortstop. Carlos Guillen. He was a 6-win player in 2006 for an elite Tiger squad. He hit 320 with 19 home runs and 20 stolen bases. They're kind of putting Zach McKinstry in there, Trey Sweeney, Javier Baez. Give me Carlos Guillen.
Guillen was a good player.
Good
Forgot about
player.
him.
But I think worthy of a deep cut. He was a good player,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
that's a deep
That's
cut.
deep enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have one that I don't know how much of a deep cut it is. The Giants need a second baseman. Jeff Kent won the MVP.
That's not a
That's
deep
not
cut.
That's
deep
not
enough.
a deep cut. Dang it.
That's not deep enough.
I know, but I was like, do people remember he won the MVP in 2000 outside of fans in San Francisco?
It's
Yeah,
definitely
they
one
do.
of the more overlooked MVPs.
Yeah. He had like three.
But it was an MVP.
Yeah, it was an MVP, so it doesn't count.
One more for me in this episode of Guys Naming Dudes. Carlos Zambrano for the Cubs. Like, I would love for Big Z to be eating up some innings. And this took me for a stroll down memory lane with Carlos Zambrano. I mean, Kerry Wood, Mark Pryor, they're always in the low threes, right? Maddox was on those teams in the late 2000s, but Zambrano was arguably the best arm. Like, this guy was eating innings all the time, and he was always near the bottom in terms of ERA. I mean, I would love to see Big Z just get the ball every fifth turn. This guy never missed starts. He was drinking coffee in between innings. Like, give me that.
Throwing water coolers and getting into fights kind of diminished how good of a pitcher he was during that stretch.
You need a tone setter in that clubhouse. Like, some
love
people
that.
want Tommy Pham. I want Carlos Zambrano.
I like that.
Could I, one more? Thinking about now, you just got me on the innings eater front. Like a there's a few different players I think, but like a Sean Markham for the Blue Jays.
Oh,
3.85 ERA. I think over the span of I think it was. I'm looking at how many appearances he made with the Blue Jays between 2001 and 2010. It was 592 innings at a 3.85 ERA for Sean Markham. I could have won AJ Burnett. I didn't think that was deep cut enough. Obviously, you got Doc Holliday, like Roy Holiday's the GOAT. But I also was thinking Ted Lilly, but I'm settling on Sean Markham here.
Is Sean
18
Markham
innings.
is Sean Markham like a poor man's Barrios? kind
like
of
very, very, very poor man's Barrios.
3.93 career ERA.
pretty damn good.
Yeah, but like, what was he throwing? 89?
Getting outs.
88.
88. There you go.
Well, everyone was
2008,
throwing 88 then.
2008, 25 starts, 3.39 ERA.
Any other ones before we move on to the next question?
I'm good. This was a fun therapeutic session.
And I wanted to start it first just to get the brains going, just to get everybody fired up. All right, question number 2. Which current non-playoff team should be a buyer? Is there a team in the playoffs or within 2 games that would be better off selling for the long-term health of the org? This was asked by Sean Donahue. I actually met Sean at the College World Series. He sent a message out and said he was there. We actually hung out for a little bit watching. I think it was that UCLA versus Murray State game. Awesome guy, ball knower to the max.
Oh, yeah.
So I was glad to see this question come in from him. I have a team that I'm kind of out on at this point, and I think should sell. You want me to start it off?
Wandy Rodriguez, Astros, by the way.
Oh, nice. Good. Keep chiming in like over the course of this episode, which is
Wandy
different
Rodriguez,
guys.
Astros. I just wanted to mention that one.
Perfect.
Go ahead.
So a team that is still in relative playoff contention because the American League is not very good and they are just 2 games out of the wild card. I think the Royals should soft sell. I know. The rotator cuff for Reagan's. I mean, I hope he comes back and looks great. And I'm not saying he's out for the year. It's not been reported. But when he comes back, how good is he going to look?
Rotator's no joke.
No joke. And then the offense, just outside of Michael Garcia, who's been awesome, and Bobby Witt Jr. has been good, there's just nothing to watch right now. Like, Vinny has just been average. Salvi really looks like he's on the decline. Jonathan India has come over and put up an 80 WRC plus. And then the bottom isn't even worth mentioning. And then you look at the bullpen, it's good. It's not great. And then a rotation where I'm seeing, like, Lugo's a good pitcher. Waka's a good pitcher. Lorenzen's okay. Chris Bubich is amazing. Is Chris Bubich going to throw 180 innings this year? He might. I don't know. Right? So if Reagan's doesn't come back, I just see an American League Central where I view 3 teams that are better. And when I'm talking about soft sell, I don't mean blow it up by any means. What I mean is Seth Lugo, you're going to get a year and a half of him. He's pitching to a 3.05 ERA. I think when we're
Easily.
talking about like underrated arms that could potentially be on the move, I think Lugo's name should be near the top of that list. I just, what does the Royals bounce back look like to get really in contention here and really go for a playoff spot again? I don't know. I've just been pretty disappointed with them, and I could see a soft sell.
So I actually went the complete opposite direction. I think the Royals, and I understand that they're like kind of within striking distance because the AL is so bad, but I see a team that's under 500 right now.
Yeah.
I say the Royals should be buying
Okay.
because you have Bobby Witt at this point in his career. You can't pack it in at this point for Bobby Witt Jr. Um, you tried making a move for India, but I see zero outfielders with control. You have a couple of pieces in that farm system that can get you an outfielder with control. I'm not saying enter the Jaron Duran sweepstakes, but I'm saying like let's make calls about a guy with 4 years of control that you feel will blossom into a good big leaguer. I feel like their window is just now opening. So, okay, you miss it this year. Let's say the offense never really comes around and Reagans misses, a long, long period of time. Find guys with control and buy strategically. I'm not saying go get Fromber Valdez on a rental. I'm saying like go find some guys with 2, 3 years of control.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I would just say I think the window is going to be open with Bobby Witt Jr. for a very long time. They signed him for years and years and years. He's still like 24 years old. If they miss this window and they kind of backtrack a little bit, and then in the offseason, they can go buy again. Like, I'm not saying that this is the end for Kansas City. I just don't see them competing this year. And then you're going to have Lugo next year, going to then be a free agent after that season. I don't know.
Well,
I just
but
feel like
if
they could replicate this. What do you think, Arm?
but
You
you need
the
guys to
tying
throw
factor.
next year. You need guys to throw next year, though, right? Like you want to try to win ball games next year and compete. If
Correct.
you trade Lugo, what does the rotation look like? Especially if Reagans is hurt, what does the rotation look like next year? If you're still hoping that Reagans comes back and he's fine, but like just for devil's advocate purposes, you trade Lugo, Reagans is up in the air. Who are the like surefire pieces in the rotation? Then you have Waka still, who's going
At
to be
35 years old.
35.
But you
You
did
have
just sign him
Bubic.
to an extension. Like they gave him 3 years, 51 this offseason.
So you have Waka, Bubic, Noah Cameron,
And Reagan's.
but
He might be
Reagans.
I know, but if he's hurt for this year and he's able to come back next year and be the Cole Reagans that we know, I think
Yeah, but
that's
you
What if
reasonable.
he isn't?
you just said 2 minutes ago it's a rotator cuff, and those are really hard to come back from.
I know. I think he might be done for the season. I don't think that it'll carry over to next year and we won't see him though. That
But
I'm
I
not
don't know
willing to
if you
go
can
that
bank
far.
on a guy double TJ rotator issue like being himself next year. And
But then it's almost like, will he ever be himself?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
I
real
don't
question.
know. Yeah,
So
it's really
I think
tough.
if you want to give it a shot next year, like you're gonna have a Jack Caglione who you're hoping makes a leap as he has at that point several hundred at bats under his belt. Vinny Pasquantino is playing a little bit better. You hope that that finally comes together. Like, and then you make some signings and try to be competitive. But I think I don't know. I think it would be good to listen because you only have the 1.5 years of Lugo. But I think if you're trying to win ball games next year, you got to probably have Lugo in that rotation.
Hmm. I just don't think he's. I guess my thinking is I think Reagan's will come back next year, and maybe that's naive.
But
That's
even if
just my
it
thought.
is, like it's
I don't think it's
Reagans,
naive.
Bubic,
Right.
Waka,
Lo-
Noah
And
Cameron.
Cameron.
That's a 4, and then you sign a 5th, and you could recoup probably pretty good prospects for Lugo with a year and a half of control with the way he's pitching right now.
But we just factored in Lugo to that conversation,
it
and you would
was
need a fifth.
no, yeah, I would
Lugo,
say
Reagans, Waka, Cameron.
then you make a signing. Like you go for it next year. It's just this season, I think Lugo could be the piece to get moved.
Yeah, but then you're starting next year with 3 starters.
No,
like
you
our
have
wires are getting crossed somewhere.
our wires are getting crossed because you guys are worried about Reagan's when I'm slotting him in as one of the 4, where I'm going Reagan's, Bubic, Waka, Cameron, and then you sign a 5th.
Okay.
That's where my mind is going, and I think Reagan's is going to be okay by next year. At least I'm hoping, right? And again, maybe that's naive, but I am hoping.
Yeah, if I'd be trying to buy with control, just because like that outfield is brutal. You can though. I mean, if you wanted to trade Lugo, there are free agents that are going to be available. But what I like about Lugo is you're dealing with a Reagan's injury here. Like Bubic, he's healthy now, and you're hoping he can continue to compile innings. But I don't think anybody has been compiling innings like Seth Lugo has. So if we're talking about maybe some variables of health, like it is nice having a guy that can go 200 innings for you, and you can pencil into next year as well. So I think it would have to take a pretty absurd haul because otherwise, like I don't know if there's any other pieces that they're really going to move other than that. So
Yeah.
it's not like you're going to fully replenish the farm system. It would be one move that gets you a good haul, but then you're going to then add again. It's kind of like a one step forward or one step back, one step forward. I think they should just keep trying to add to this team. And I mean, they made it to the playoffs last year and they were competitive and they made some noise and it isn't great this year. But I think with a Lugo, a healthy Reagans and a Bubic and a Waka, like that could be your best foot forward. And Noah Cameron in the 5, like that team can make it happen if they add some outfield pieces. And it's a lot easier to add outfield pieces, I think, that can hit enough than pitchers that you can rely on, like a Seth Lugo.
Yeah, I guess I just don't know the outfielder with control that they would get because I remember after the Devers trade arm, you said that Jaron Duran is very unlikely to be moved at this point. So I'm thinking to myself, who is that outfielder that they're going to go get? And if they
Shit,
do
dude.
get
I
that
mean,
outfielder,
Jack can't say it, but like a Jesus Sanchez would do wonders for them. Like he really would.
would he do
Uh,
wonders though? Like,
yeah, I mean, they're getting a 650 OPS from Drew Waters. They're starting John Rave
yeah, he's
in
definitely better than those players. But
by a lot.
does that really change anything?
I think it's one of the moves. Like you could do it by two or three of those guys. But yeah, they could try to add like a major impact outfielder. I think that it's going to be hard to do
Yeah,
this offseason or this deadline though. I don't know how many outfielders are going to be out there and available. That's the part that is interesting. And you don't want to go rental, to Jack's point.
yeah,
And to your point, they definitely shouldn't. Like I think they should, if they're going to buy, it has to be with control. I think we're in agreement that they shouldn't be buying rentals with this situation right
agreed.
now.
Yeah,
So it's either should be. I would soft sell before I bought a rental. I would that I 100% agree with. But yeah, I guess that's the thing is I'm saying they should buy with control, but we haven't even said who that would be. Like to
that's
that
what I was
point, Jack,
thinking.
is there anyone that comes to mind for you?
Not particularly. I'm just wondering about certain guys. Like, I mean, hey, I understand this guy is kind of offensively broken right now, but if they feel confident that they can do something with James Outman, that intrigues me. The Dodgers have a surplus right now. There are good
So
teams
it's
that
like
have a
a
surplus.
soft buy.
It's
You're
a
saying like
soft buy. Yeah, I
yeah,
think
that
that
might be
they.
the way to do it too. Is
I
like
think they soft buy. Frankly, I think they do nothing, and I think they entertain offers for one of Mitchell or Jensen, and see what kind of big league talent they can get for Blake Mitchell or Carter Jensen.
yeah.
Yeah. Any other teams along that vein that you guys came up with? Because for me, I ID'd the Royals as the answer to this question, but I totally understand the counterpoints. I don't know who they're going to get with control that will actually matter, and I do think Lugo is expendable, but I understand where you guys are
I
coming from.
mean, to your point though, Peter, like if they are in this weird spot where they're like, okay, we don't feel like we can add a guy with control, we're kind of stuck in the middle. I mean, Lugo is the guy that's going to get you the mega haul, and
Yeah,
then you can spend more in free agency. There's a lot of good arms out there.
tons.
Fortify the farm system, and maybe they make a more blockbuster trade
Yeah,
pairing with one of the catchers that Jack mentioned. I don't think it's crazy at all.
yeah.
It is just a weird spot where I think you either have to go
You
one
got it.
direction or just sit there.
Yeah.
That is fascinating. But the one other team I was thinking about is the Cardinals, and like I want them to
Mm.
go for it this year. I do,
Yeah.
but I kind of think they can be buy and sell at the same time kind of team, and just a
Yeah.
strategic ball club given where they're at. And by the buy and sell side of things, I really look at the pitching, and I look at what the pitching can be, and you have like an Eric Fetty, right, who's been fine for you, but I think that's a guy that you could easily move.
Totally.
And guys who eat innings at a sub 4, it's shocking every single time the return that these guys get you. Oh, Eric Fetty got you that? Like,
Yeah.
it'll happen. I think Michael McGreevy is just as good. And he every time he gets an opportunity to show it, he does. I don't think they would be any worse by trading Eric Fetty, getting a prospect return, and plugging a Michael McGreevy in there. Ryan Helsley, like he's been kind of meh for them. Like if they're, I wouldn't say you have to move him, but if you shop him around and you get a haul for him, like he's hurt them at points this year. I understand that he's super valuable when he's right, but like Maton's been great. Leahy's been great. Matz has been a good reliever. They can bring up some guys maybe from the minor leagues that can also pitch and out of the bullpen as well. You don't fully ever want to do that. But again, if you move Helsley and you move Fetty, you could get pretty nice returns. The offense is still, I think, really solid. And you can go from there. I also think you could kick the tires on an Arenado still. Thomas Ajazi's just rotting in AAA after showing well at the big league level. And it's a better Arenado, but it's still a glove first 93 WRC plus third baseman right now. So I think all of those guys could potentially be moved, and they have somebody that you could immediately plug in that's young and not proven, but at least has shown success at the big league level. It's not just like, hey, we're bringing up a prospect. Let's see what happens. Like these guys have had success at the big league level. I think that would fortify that farm system a little bit more. It wouldn't shock me, but I know it's a lame duck weird year with Heim waiting to take the reins.
Yeah. Jack, where are you at?
With St. Louis, I like the idea that they're going to go into every single season in that NL Central thinking that they can win the division. And I don't think they're wrong. Like Milwaukee is combustible. It has worked, but why can't a good St. Louis team just leapfrog Milwaukee any year?
Yeah.
The Cubs have not put themselves in a position to run that division for years to come. Obviously, they have the lineup to do it, but they haven't put themselves in that position with the rotation or the bullpen. So that division, in my opinion, is up for grabs, and St. Louis has the brand and they have the budget available to do it every single year. I'm curious to see what it looks like with Heim Bloom at the helm, but I do think that there are some guys that they can get out of strategically, like a Nolan Gorman. I still think they're going to get something for him, and that guy's just sitting there.
And
Arenado,
Palante, like that guy
Palante,
can go.
but like I love Palante, so
too.
I don't want to see
Me
that
too.
guy on the move at all. But I mean, McGreevy, dude, it's hard to find starts for some of these guys in the minor leagues, and Quinn Matthews is going to be there sooner rather than later. So I don't know, man. There are interesting wrinkles to the Cardinal thing. I would lean, honestly, doing next to nothing for St. Louis, and I would kick the tires with Helsley on an extension. I would pay that guy. Year in and year out, he's been one of the best relievers in baseball.
Interesting.
I think Heim will say hell no. But
yeah, absolutely not. He's not going to pay a reliever, but when you got, maybe a top 5 closer in the National League for the last 5 years, you should think about locking that guy up. The only other team that I want to throw at you guys, just because they're getting very expensive and pretty damn old, Houston. Like, Houston should be selling off some pieces right now.
They're
really
nasty.
I mean, they're the third best. I mean, you could argue they're the second best team in the American League right now.
Just take a walk down how many guys are up after the 2026 season.
Oh, I know. They're in a weird spot.
Everybody.
So is that? But okay, we're kind of in a similar. Also, by the way, please, for the Cardinals, before we get too far away, make Tink Hence the closer sooner rather than later if they don't keep Helsley.
I like that.
Alex Reyes type of thing. Hopefully, it'll keep him healthy longer.
That works.
That guy would be nasty as a closer. But back to the point. What was the school of thought trying to survive for after that, or is it saying, "Hey, we need to try to maximize now and win"?
The first
now?
one. First one. I think survive after that. Build a sustainable model.
They're 43 and 31.
Yeah, I think they should go for it. I understand where you're going here, Jack. I think this is like the last year. And, well, they're going to be – I feel like they have been able to build a sustainable winning model. And even after this year when everybody goes, I still feel like they'll find a way to compete. But I feel like in a wide-open American League, the Astros could win the pennant.
Totally.
I mean, the Tigers are a good team, but they're not unbeatable. The Yankees are a good team, but they're not unbeatable. It's so wide open. I think they use this as the last year to just – I think they should even buy.
I think they should buy.
I think they should go get after it and try and win the pennant, which they can.
So here's the thing. I look at Houston and I look at Philly as being in very similar situations. Philly has a lot of these veteran contracts coming up. They're an old team, but Philly has Painter and Miller and Tait and Dante Nori and your guy, Arun Escobar. Like, they have a lot of guys in there right now. They have a system that works at the moment. Houston doesn't have a system.
Yeah, that
So
is
that's my
funny.
thing. It's like I look at a team that's that old and that expiring, and I see literally nothing on the farm. I get really nervous.
That part I do
Yeah,
understand. Like
I
to
understand that
have a
too.
sustainable winner, if
Yeah.
you go in further this year with whatever pieces you have
Like,
left in that farm system, like it's one of the last farm systems that we've done to do on the call up because I have had little interest to write about it.
yeah.
But like it's not good. I think when you're 43 and 31, 5.5 games up in the division without Yordan Alvarez, without Spencer Arrighetti, I that part of it makes me feel like, hey, maybe you give this thing one more just head down shot. Could they? And you guys tell me what you think. Could they pull off a trade with Jacob Melton or Zach DeZenzo type with some other prospects? Like, it's not going to be the most exciting player in the world, but what do we feel like this team needs? Do they need something moving? Like, what's the biggest need for the Astros, and how much would it really take to acquire it?
Not much. I think they need a corner outfield bat with a beating heart.
I also think they could use a starter. I know they've, used a bunch of different arms, but I would like a dependable guy in there. And I think with those prospects and, even DeCenzo getting some big league action, I think that gets you a good rental.
Yeah.
Not the best rental in the world, but a rental. And again,
Yeah,
this
like a
team is
fine
going for
rental.
it.
Yeah. So that's how I would look at it.
I agree with
Um,
you.
but I can hear it's definitely scary. But
Yes.
I also think like there's little that they're going to even fully be able to do about it now, anyways. Is what would be the soft sell? It would be we've talked about Brian Abreu, we've talked about Framber Valdez. Those guys are just so important. You'd be like waving the white
So
flag on
important.
this season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jack, at first when you first said it, I just completely disagreed with you. But then when you really broke it down, if let's say they do go for it this year, let's say they don't listen to you and they fall short, they're fucked.
Yeah, it's going to
Like
be rough.
so you're taking a risk, a big one. But I feel like if there was any year to take a risk with how bad the American League is, I do feel like it would be this year.
I hate to be this guy, but they're winning 50 games in 2029 with the
They
way it's
might.
trending right now.
They might.
Well, and one other interesting point is they kind of did this though going into the season. The Kyle Tucker trade set them up for the next few years, right? That set you up with 6 years of Cam Smith and how many years? 4 years of Isak Paredes?
No, three. So two
Three.
after this. So like it
But
set you
hopefully they
up.
extend him.
Hopefully, yeah.
And
You
that's not
accept?
enough, but at least that was. I mean, imagine if they didn't make that move and you lose
Yeah.
Tucker like
Oh
in free
no, they're
agency after
screwed.
this year.
They're just
Oh,
screwed.
holy shit, it would be ugly.
So moving on to teams that I think should be a buyer, a current non-playoff team. They already came out and said it, and I agree with them.
The Nats.
Diamondbacks should
Oh,
buy. They should.
the Diamondbacks are going to buy.
Mike Hazen came out and said that they're going to be aggressive at the deadline as long as they are still competitive. And I think at this current state, the Diamondbacks are still competitive. When you have one of the best offenses in the league,
Yeah. How many comebacks have they had?
I mean,
It's insane.
yeah, they've just had a weird season. Like one run game luck has not been great, but they've also had a lot of comebacks too. It's just been a weird year, and we've also seen the Diamondbacks over the last couple of seasons be really a second half team. So hopefully you
Mhm.
can replicate that success and bring in a pitcher. Right, you don't have to spend a lot. It could be mostly rentals, but you already have Corbin Burns, who's now, down for the rest of the year. I feel like if they grab a starting pitcher and a couple of bullpen arms, they can still compete. And even though, you know what I'm saying with the Astros in the American League, that the National League is really, really tough. But I think they can leapfrog the Padres. I do. And then it's anybody's game, right? So again, I'm not like super sold on it, but the Diamondbacks came up as my answer of a team not really quite in playoff contention that I do think that should buy.
I like that. I think they're just so deep into it at this point. They should
Yeah.
like just keep
Yeah.
going. The farm system's gotten a lot stronger. A lot of their top guys have performed well, aside from some injuries. But I don't think they were going to trade, Chrysanthus anyways. I do like that. I mean, this team they're still hanging around with all the catastrophe to the rotation, and like you said, that offense can mash with just about anything, any out there.
Anybody else? Any other teams?
The Royals were my soft buy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Army, you have a soft
that's
buy on top of the D-backs or Royals?
in terms of. I mean, I think you're looking at a Blue Jays team that's going to fully buy now. So and the Rays are always going to do whatever they do, and they're playing really well. So I hope they actually buy a little bit more aggressively than they normally do. It seems a little bit more clear cut with everybody else. Like the buyers and sellers do kind of feel more clear. I think though one other conversation would be the Rangers. Like I do still think that until that team is really out of it, because we talk about the American League still being relatively wide open. They're only 2 games behind. When you've got Jacob DeGrom pitching like that,
Yeah.
and you've got the talent on the roster that team features, and now that Semyon's, I mean, I haven't checked the last like 4 or 5 games, but he's not 100% dead. He looked like a corpse through the first couple months of the season, and you're going to get Seager rolling. Like I think I can't give up on this team when they've got that much talent, and I think they should. I'm not saying deplete the farm and go nuts because clearly this team is flawed, but fortify this ball club. There's a lot of guys that have been there, done that. Give them a little bit of juice to soft buy.
Agreed. Let's move on to question number 3. One pitcher / hitter performance that has been the most surprising, good or bad, so far this season. Comes to us from Christian Crespo. I got 2 guys. This could be relatively quick. JP Crawford is a surprise for me.
Yeah.
Like, I always thought of him as kind of like, he's a good defender over there. I thought he was a barometer for average shortstop play. And I should just start saying that about shortstop so that guy can get really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Said it about Dansby, got really good. I mean, JP Crawford is hitting close to 300 while walking nearly as much as he's striking out. 148 WRC plus. Ranks 14th in baseball, 2.4 F WAR among shortstops. That's 6th. That's more than Ellie. I'm shocked. I really am surprised that JP Crawford has been this good this year. Good for him.
Yeah.
And then
Who
for
you got,
my,
Jack? Oh,
I'll go quickly just for my negative. I can't believe Brenton Doyle has been this bad.
I was just talking about this yesterday.
Shocking. 41 WRC plus, negative 0.7 F WAR, 4th worst F WAR, worst WRC plus in baseball. I mean, we were ranting and raving about him last year for good reason, and he's just completely fallen off a cliff.
I wonder if
That's a
there's
great one.
I wonder if there's an injury issue there. Obviously, it was a
Has to
quad.
be.
Like there has to be
Has to
something
be.
more there.
It's just so disappointing, but I agree. It has to be injury related because it just makes no sense.
Yeah.
And it's just the Rockies, man. I think they got a lot of voices chirping in a lot of different directions with their hitters too. I haven't seen a situation where I can't remember more players that are very talented just hitting an absolute wall and looking lost. And I mean, you even look at like the Drew Romo situation and just his struggles to with the yips and things like that, and Zach Veen who just disappeared, and they had him like working at the complex now and like to repattern his swing, and I don't know. There's weird stuff there.
Anael
That has
Amador.
always kind of confused me.
Amador as
Amador,
well.
that guy was one of the best pure hitters in the minor leagues, and they somehow, I'm going to blame them for that. I've had him unravel. I mean, that guy was pure.
I like that. I'm going to blame them. You
Matt
should blame
McClain.
them.
Matt McClain. I was really high on him going. I know he's starting to show a little bit of signs of life. He's defending well, which helps. That's why he's not a negative WAR player. But Matt McClain can't be hitting 196 with a 71 WRC plus. I still think it's going to get better. He's coming off a serious injury, and a lot of guys get affected by that. But man, I really did think Matt McClain was going to at least play to like 75% of what we saw in that rookie stint before he got hurt. McClain with the Reds has probably been one of my biggest surprises. You could say Spencer Steer too. You could almost tandem those two guys, but McClain even more of a surprise to me just because he's so physically talented.
Got you. Do you have a good one?
A good one. Honestly, it's funny because he's become a meme on this, but like Michael Garcia, I did not think had this in him. Like he's a meme because we the whole point was everyone saying, oh, he's going to break out. He's going to break out. He's going to break out. I'm like, yeah. Michael Garcia has been one of the best players in Major League Baseball.
Damn right.
He's got a lot going for him right now. He's got a 2.5 F4, 143 WRC plus. He's got a 3.35 slash line, 318, 377, 500 with 15 bags. Like I figured he could take a step forward and maybe he's still sneaky young, but this has been remarkable. And I think you could say a similar thing with Pena, where the underlying's always been solid, good player. He's obviously been better in recent years, but Pena hitting 321, that's also been a really surprising one. Jeremy Pena.
Where you at, Jack?
So same team, and I went pitching front. The guy that has surprised me in a good way, I gotta stop doubting Matthew Boyd. Like he's pitching like an all-star. I don't know. I doubted him last year and he shoved, and I doubted him in Detroit and he shoved, and then I doubted him going into this year and he's shoving. So you know what, Matthew Boyd, I tip my cap to you. I can't figure you out. But on that same team, I've been so disappointed in the year that Ben Brown is having. It's unbelievable. I thought there was no world that opponents would be hitting 280 against Ben Brown.
Mm.
But that's where we are. I thought the only guy beating Ben Brown was Ben Brown. And like turns out everybody's beating Ben Brown right now. So that's my big disappointment. My other disappointment just because I love watching him pitch so much is Gallen. Like no world should Zach Gallen have a 5.2 ERA, but that's where we are.
That's the thing about the D-backs buying. Like, he's going to get better, right? Right?
He's going to hit the open market after this year. This is a tough walk year for him, man. Really
can't
tough
get worse.
contract here.
I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
I mean, it could get worse. Call Jordan Montgomery. It could get real worse.
Yeah, that is true.
All right, let's move on to question number 4. Who are your Dark Horse Award winners? Now that things are starting to take shape, is Matt Shaw still Arm's favorite to win Rookie of the Year? And can Robbie Ray win the Cy Young? This comes to us from Ryboy808 in our Discord. Again, another reminder, make sure to go check that out. The link is in the episode description, the best baseball group chat in the world. I feel like this is a conversation about the National League Rookie of the Year. Because I look at the American League MVP and I'm like, who's the dark horse that's taken down Judge?
Nobody.
I look at the National League and I say, who's the dark horse that's taking down Ohtani?
Nobody.
And you might say, well, he'll have competition, but none of them are dark horses. All of them are just some of the best players in baseball. American League Cy Young, it's either going to be Skubal or Crochet. Unless one of they get
Hunter
hurt.
Brown. Hunter Brown is
too.
in the conversation. Bubic is in the conversation as well.
Absolutely. So those can be definitely answers to those questions. And then I look at the National League Cy Young, and I think it's Skeens to lose.
Yes.
American League Rookie of the Year. I mean, Jacob Wilson's got a mid-3s F-WAR.
Did I see on BetMGM he's minus 1,000 to win that right now?
You saw that correctly. Isn't
Yeah, there
that
you
nuts? So for me, it's a question about National League Rookie of the Year. Unless you guys have any other dark horses in any of the other categories.
Literally don't.
No. And I think it's the most fascinating one, I think, right now. Dark horse is interesting because like Matt Shaw, I don't love as much as the pick because it's been better since he came back, but it's just kind of been this ebbs and flows and the power hasn't totally been there the way that you'd expect. Drake Baldwin clearly is the favorite right now, but I don't know. I don't want to steal your thunder, Jack. You're calling games with him playing all the time, but if Liam Hicks can get more playing time, that's a dark horse, dude.
Absolutely.
He's leading rookies in RBI.
Yeah.
He's got a 127 WRC plus. He's a catcher. Like if he can just get a little bit more run out there, and I know he's starting to. Like I'm looking at the other rookies. It's Ha-Seong Kim. He's not playing enough.
Can I give you one rookie? Go ahead with Liam Hicks. I'll follow up with another rookie I think is a decent dark horse candidate.
Yeah, I was going to say Ha-Seong Kim is probably the only other one, and he's only played 30 games.
This guy doesn't feel like a dark horse, but Mizorowski, like I absolutely think Mizorowski could just grab a hold on this award race.
I don't mind that.
This is another year where a pitcher could take it. What about Chad Patrick? At what point does a guy just throw a ton of innings at a respectable ERA and no hitter does well enough, and you just say, "Hey, it's Chad Patrick."
What about another Brewer, not a pitcher, Isaac Collins?
He's been really good too.
He's got a 108 WRC plus, walking a ton, not hitting for much power, but he's got some good bat to ball skills, and he's playing really, really good defense in a corner. Like he might weirdly rack up some WAR play every day for the Brewers, especially, if they soft sell and he's getting some playing time and you're like, wait a minute, he put up a 4.2 F-WAR this year and was like a 115 WRC plus and nobody else was very good. I just saw his price was like plus 6,000 and I was like, that price is wrong.
That is wrong.
Yeah.
He definitely has a higher implied probability than that. And
I agree.
He hasn't slowed down that much. Here's my question. If Drake Baldwin, you just extrapolate these numbers, he hits 20 home runs, puts up a 120 WRC plus and a 3.5 F-WAR. But you have Chad Patrick throwing 175 innings at a 3.5.
Yeah.
Who gets it?
I just like
They're going to go
I
with the
think
hitter.
I think
They're
that's
going to go
very
with Baldwin.
I think that's very reasonable for Drake Baldwin. I think he could even be better, and I think that's got a decent bit of Chad Patrick to go 175 in his first year with a mid threes. I just think
So
that's. But again, he's been so good to start the year. So, but I just don't you feel like that's just wishful
Yeah, oh yeah.
thinking?
I mean that's why I'm trying to like upsell the dark horse.
I
It's
like that.
definitely
yeah,
it's asking a lot, but like he's built up as much as any arm in the minor leagues. Most guys, he wasn't a high profile prospect, so they were throwing him every fifth day in AAA, and he's going six
right.
plus innings. I don't know if the numbers in front of me, but I think he threw. I'll pull it up right now. He threw 136 innings last year, which is a pretty large amount for a minor leaguer. Like, so you could probably push that north of
170.
150, 160. If he's at 160 innings at a mid threes, like does that unseat a probably not, but it would be an interesting conversation.
It's an interesting conversation.
I think it's really right now coming down to a home run race between Drake Baldwin and Augustine Ramirez.
Mm.
Like, if one of them hits 27, I just think that guy wins Rookie of the Year.
So that's my other thing. How much do you bake in defense into this equation? Because Augustine, he could just DH and his WAR total would look better. He's still learning behind the dish. That's part of the reason why he didn't get up right away. But he's got 10 homers in 48 games. He could easily finish with 25 plus. If he
Yeah.
leads all rookies in homers, I guess how many homers does he have to hit to offset the defensive gap from a Drake Baldwin and maybe
And
a
also,
little bit less average?
Drake Baldwin might have
25.
like 3 or 4 less homers.
Yeah, I think you'd have to have Ramirez hitting 30.
Yeah, or more. And then you'd probably have to have
Or
Drake
more.
Baldwin step
More.
off a little bit.
We're halfway home. He's got 10. I don't think he's hitting more than 30.
Yeah,
You don't think 40's in the cards?
I don't think 40's in the cards this year.
It's gonna
Well,
be
maybe
tough
I'm too
then.
much of a believer. All right. Before we move on to question number 5, Aram, you want to tell us about our friends at Loop?
Yep, it's one of my favorite places to buy cards or buy into breaks. Of course, Loop, Loupe. The app is the best place to go. If you're tired of sketchy card breaks or getting ghosted after big pulls on other apps, it's time for something better. I've been collecting cards for a while now, and using Loop has been one of the easier experiences for me buying into those breaks, chasing the Luis Pena and Kevin McGonigal cards in those 2025 Bowman baseball breaks, but also just interacting with some awesome card shops. Hit Seekers, our friends who we're going to be doing a live break with at the National in a month. Jumping into those breaks with them is a ton of fun. You get to talk to the owners of the card shops in there or the breakers, and it's a really fun interactive experience there. They're rooting you on, trying to pull the best cards for you. And it's a really easy and fun interface, right? Where you can jump into those live breaks, buy into them, or you can buy singles as well. So you can be going and checking out individual cards. You can sell it on the marketplace there. It's so much easier than going on an eBay and having the bidding wars. A lot of easier transactions. Don't have to worry about too much on that front. And it always is a lot of fun, whether I'm shopping on the marketplace or buying into breaks. The other day, I jumped into one and I was hunting McGonagals. I actually was able to pull a Kevin McGonigal auto. And it's funny because I'll just jump in there, let the guy know, like, hey, this is the prospect I'm chasing right now. They'll also explain the product to you, you know, what you want to look for, or if I have questions about, you know, getting the best bang for my buck. They're always so helpful on that platform. All of the breakers on that platform are vetted, so you can trust them. You can trust that your cards are going to get there safely and that they're actually going to get there. And you can also trust that it's going to be a great experience. And if you go to the Loop app right now at loupe.cards/J baseball, that's JBASEBALL, you'll receive a $10 credit on your first purchase over $50. So if you buy a $50 spot into a break, you can buy a $60 spot into a break with the $10 credit or apply that to a single or another spot in another break. That's just for our followers and listeners right now. That offer from Loop, LOUPE.cards/J baseball for that 10 extra dollars on your deposit of $50.
You got a little tied up spelling baseball there. Do you want
Yeah,
to
I
try
was,
again?
no, I nailed it. I think I got it. I was a little worried for a second there, but I remembered that there's an E.
You
after
got
the
it.
S.
Yeah. BASCBALL.
Yes.
Does Seth Halverson have cards? I think he's my favorite pitcher.
Seth
you see-
Halverson does have cards you can buy into, and that's the other thing that's really helpful though. You can just jump in instead of having to like Google search everything. Say, hey, I want a Seth Halverson card. Like, if I'm not buying a single, can I? What's a product that I should buy into a break? And they'll say, oh, 2025 Top Series 2, Seth Halverson's in that.
Gotcha.
And that's what's really helpful. through the whole process, because I know the hobby can get a little bit intimidating, and that's why I love the breakers on the app that are always so helpful. So yeah, you can get him in 2025 Topps Series 2.
Cool. Did you see his first pitch to Alex Call yesterday with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth?
I did miss that. I did miss that.
You
Jack's
didn't see that?
Jack's tweet went viral. I saw
Yeah,
that too.
check out my Twitter.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable setup pitch to the next three, just being dotted on the corner to strike him out, looking to end the game.
Okay.
So while Arm goes to check out that highlight, our first break. All right, let's go to question number 5. Who is an underrated arm that will be moved this deadline that will take down big innings in October for a contender? This comes to us from Marco, 2_. So I got a list of pitchers. Just want to run you guys through them. Obviously, I talked about Seth Lugo already, and you guys kind of agree, kind of disagree, but I do think that if he were to get traded, that would be a huge guy for a contender in the playoffs. Another one, 2 Brewers, Brandon Woodruff, Freddie Peralta. The Brewers have proven that they have an incredible pitching lab where they can pull up starters at will. And they have also proven that no matter how good you are, they're willing to trade you. Freddie Peralta will be a free agent. He has a club option in 2026 for $8 million, and then Woodruff's going to be a free agent after the season. So I can see both of those guys being dealt. Also, I think Edward Cabrera is an interesting arm. If the command, he's going to pitch today, we're recording on Thursday. If he has a good outing today, I mean, the command has gotten better and better over each start, and I feel like he could go to a contender with a good pitching lab, and somebody could really figure him out. And then last, but I don't think least, Tyler Anderson is a guy who can perform well. I mean, I don't know what the Angels are going to do. They are in playoff contention, but he is an arm. He's still got a really good changeup. I feel like he could really help a team come October. I mean, really help. That's why he's at the bottom of my list, but I did think he was worth mentioning.
How
It's
about
funny.
strikeout artist Kyle Hendricks too? Might as well throw him in there.
Yeah, might as well. Tyler Anderson is a little bit better than that, I would say.
Andrew Heaney. Andrew Heaney's probably another one, but I was thinking about if the Rangers do scuffle a little bit more, Tyler Mahle could make sense.
Yeah.
He's been shoving obviously this year. He has still not really hit that wall that we've been not fully banking on, but you just figured he might naturally slow down a little bit. I know his last time out wasn't great, but he skates by. Like last time out, what was it? 5 2/3, 10 hits, 4 runs. Like he seems to be impervious to the blow up start. And I look at that pitching situation, and he's on the IL right now too, so obviously have to wait until he gets back. But assuming he's fine, like look at that pitching situation, I do think that's a guy that ultimately you could still be putting your best foot forward next year and say it's fine moving him. This year he's going to be a free agent anyway. So I think that could be a guy that ends up getting them a sneaky decent return. It's not fully selling with Rocker back, Leiter throwing pretty well. Like they've got some other guys. They've got some guys in the system that'll be healthy next year as well that I think can help them. Alejandro Rosario is not far away. So I thought that would be an interesting one too. Just a guy that is just pitching hot right now, and it's just shoulder fatigue. So I imagine it's just managing him right now.
When is Rosario due back? Because that was Tommy John. Is that All-Star break next year?
Yeah, probably around All-Star break next year. But
Okay.
just thinking long term, I mean, that's definitely a guy you slot in the rotation. Probably doesn't factor in next year as much, but Maui's going to be a free agent anyways, and I'd imagine they're not going to be paying him.
No.
So that could be a guy that even if you're not fully selling, that could be one soft sell guy, though they can't really afford to move arms if they're really trying to win. But I could see them at least moving him.
Any other names that we didn't list?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to take this opportunity to mention Bailey Falter again. I think a lot of teams are calling Ben Cherington about Bailey Falter right now, and I know that he allowed a couple of homers in Detroit yesterday, but this guy, it's weird, and he's a lefty, and he's cheap, and he's got a couple more years of control. Like, he was a DFA candidate coming into this year, and now he's got 15 starts at a 3.5 ERA, and it's just a funky fastball. So I like the idea of a team. And frankly, like because of the control and the price point, there are a lot of teams that can be calling about Bailey Falter. There are a lot of teams that can make him work.
Yeah.
What about Tomoyuki Shigano? It's a 1-year deal.
I mean,
if he starts a game in October, I get to punch Peter in the face. That's how that works.
No, just don't put me in the box, and he'll probably be fine.
He's got a 3.38, man. Like
I know.
he's eating innings.
And his
teams want
peripherals,
innings eaters.
his peripherals say he should retire.
Chad.
They have though, and he's getting out. So I think that's an underrated arm that could get moved.
I see that too. All right, let's move on to question number 6. This is an interesting one. Thoughts on Andrew McCutcheon's comments last week about the MLB changing the baseball, lack of uniformity, and how it directly affects on field play? Is baseball the only sport in the world where the league can change the most important piece of equipment used at will and in silence and somehow not cause an uproar? This was asked by Taylor G again in our Discord. And to give you the quote from McCutcheon, I was told by a rep for MLB that the balls are indeed different this year. They stated higher seams, which produces more drag on the baseball, causing baseballs to not travel as far as they should. When asked why, I was told every baseball is hand sewn, so no ball is the same. When I asked if there is something that can be done about correcting the current performance of this year's baseball, I was told that there is nothing that could be done about it this season, but they are working hard on getting to the bottom of why the seams are higher. I so agree with the last portion of the question. Like, why is MLB allowed to do this to the baseball? I don't know
Why are they
how
hand sewn?
all of that.
Because that's how it's done, and they rub it with mud from the Delaware River. That's how it was done in
one
1910.
guy that can rub it with the mud, and it's like specific mud.
Dude, there's a bucket of mud in every single ballpark in Major League Baseball and in AAA. I've watched the process. It's so outdated. It's unbelievable how outdated this whole process is. Like if Sam Altman needs to come in and streamline what you do, like go ahead and do that. Let's just make sure they're throwing the same damn thing every single time. We go through 120 baseballs a game in Major League Baseball. Make sure they're all the same. Like, okay, there was an uproar in 2021 when the NBA changed from a Rawlings ball to a Wilson ball. It wasn't Rawlings; it was something else. But they went to a Wilson ball from like their
Spalding
previous
or something like that.
Yeah,
or...
maybe Spalding to Wilson or something. And there was a huge uproar there. It was like, it doesn't dribble the same. It doesn't shoot the same. Like, yeah, okay, whatever. They have 3 Wilson balls that they test before the game that are ready to go. Now, I understand the difference between using 3 balls over the course of a given game and 120 balls over the course of a given game. But you're telling me that, like, we have microscopic needles go in to do major surgeries in people. Like every hospital in America has that pretty much. And we don't have a uniform way of sewing baseballs.
And
and MLB does it themselves. They design, they make the baseballs. So it's not like they have to deal with like, it's not like the jersey situation where they could just like blame Fanatics, right? Like and just blame who then blame Nike. Like they can take control of the situation. The fact that we can't fix it also this year? What do you mean? Why can't you fix it?
It's impossible.
They already made all the balls.
It's impossible. I thought that quote was insane. What do you mean it's impossible?
Impossible. Like what? And also, I don't get the hand sewn part. Why would you add a human variable to an object that you don't want to vary?
Because that's baseball, man.
Yeah, the human element, right?
That's
the
baseball.
human
Yeah, it's all about the human element.
These
with the
robo
design of
umps.
the balls.
Who was on the episode with me when I just got worked up about the robo umps?
I think
That was you and me, Peter, right?
I think both Arm and I have been on episodes with you where you've gotten fired up about the robo-ups.
Well, because it's like The Athletic wrote like their 30th article in the last year about there being no room in the game for robo-umps. I don't care. It's not a robo-ump. It's the challenge system, and it's good.
That's
Suck
the other
it up.
part, too. It's like it's just an invisible robot. There's no
Robo-umps
robot.
aren't real. They're not real.
The Athletic does put out an article every 2 weeks about robo-ups.
Every week. Every week. I've read like 40 of the same article over the last year and a half.
The other thing is like we're having all this conversation about robo-umps. We should have robo fucking ball sewers.
Yes.
And that's the easiest. That's the easiest thing. Yeah, I mean, I hope they can figure this out. It's a joke that we have to like assess each year. Is it a dead ball year or is the ball flying this year? Let's streamline this thing. I'm with you. No other sport has anything going on like this because it's just the most baseball thing ever to just not know what's going on with your fucking baseballs.
With the equipment. All right, let's move on to question number 7. This comes to us from Instagram. Max Tuffy 25 asks, and this question, this is right up my alley. Who is another potential superstar that could be surprisingly dealt at the deadline, similar to the Rafael Devers situation?
Ellie De La Cruz, no doubt about it. Peter, your thoughts?
I got two. And I want to preface it with I don't think it's going to happen. Can I say
Thanks for
that?
the
Can
preface.
I
Yeah,
think no,
sure.
I don't think either of these guys are going to get traded.
That softens the blow big time.
But I had to start getting into my galaxy brain here. And I don't think it's outlandish. But again, it's not going to happen. The Padres need to get out from some money, I think. Manny Machado is playing really well. Again, a lot of things were to happen for the Padres to even consider this as a possibility. The Padres are not playing great baseball right now. Now, they have gone up against the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are amazing, and the Dodgers are at home, so you can't really blame them. But I just see a Padres team where Michael King, it's just, I don't know when he's going to come back. I don't love this rotation overall. The offense is good, but again, it drops off so quickly. They're tied up with a lot of money. Would some team take Machado off of their hands? And now one team that I think could are the New York Yankees. They have been looking for a third baseman forever. If I didn't
I'm
say
out.
the Yankees, no. I saw Aram
No, I know,
start to
I
agree
know.
with me, and then I said the Yankees. Jack just straight up left the podcast. Nobody leave the podcast. Anybody listening, I am spitting right now. The Yankees need a third baseman. They have all of the money in the world. You move Jazz over to second. I'm saying if things start to go wrong for the Padres, could Machado be in a similar situation to Rafael Devers? Jack, I answered the damn question. I don't think it's going to happen, but it does make some sense.
Yeah, but you don't need to give us what team they go to.
Why
And
not?
like,
There's a lot
You
of
know
teams
what?
I think that would
I'm
love.
fired
Okay,
up.
a lot
I'm
of teams
leaving
would,
again.
but I'm thinking of teams who would take on $350 million on
So
him.
that's the interesting thing is they gave Manny that like extension that just like it's crazy.
Crazy, but
It-
he's
it
playing
looks better
really well.
now.
Yeah.
It looks better now because he's
Jack.
balling out, but it's 17 million this year, it's 25 million next year, and then it's 39 million from 2027 to 2033 when he's 40 years old. So I think that's almost an immovable contract. But with him playing at this level, to Peter's point, it's the most movable that this contract will probably ever be.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not going to happen.
Not gonna
but
happen.
That is a good shout, actually, because of that. If he wasn't under such a tough contract, that's like that one's going to be underwater. I would say you're crazy, but he also does have a full no trade clause, so that would add a little bit of a challenge to it. But that's a good shout. I don't hate that shout.
It's a good shout. It's a good shout, Jack. I bet you two are both close-minded. You didn't even write any answers down for this.
I wrote an answer down. I said
Okay.
I was torn between Paul Skeens and Ellie De La Cruz.
Okay, well, that's not serious.
Yeah, it's not serious. No, I mean, I have an answer written down, but like, it wasn't Machado being moved that got me. It was like, I think the Yankees could benefit there.
Thinking
Like,
about
that's what
teams
got
who
me.
would take on that contract. Think of other teams. Like, I think maybe the Mets could, but do they really want to take that
No,
on?
they don't-
Dave
they don't
Stearns
want to.
doesn't want. So who is another team who needs a third baseman who has all the money in the world? It's
No.
like the Yankees.
The Yankees are the right answer, but like, it upsets me
Me saying
that
it. Yeah.
that you thought it through this well.
I did.
The only other name that jumps out to me, and I understand that there's been so much dialogue about it to this point, Sale. Like, Sale really jumps out to me. He's throwing out of his freaking mind again. A team could pay a super premium for Chris Sale and force Alex Anthopoulos' hand, and I think a team should think about freaking doing it.
Two things about Sale. One, Anthopoulos did come out and say, we're not trading him. Now, could
Yeah,
that change?
okay. Like
I
that
agree.
that's true until Max Clark is on your table.
Agreed. That's
Yeah,
exactly what I was going to say. But is like Sale in the same boat as Devers? Because I was looking at guys who are on like big old contracts, like 10, 11 years. That's how I thought about the question. But I like the shout of a star potentially getting traded. Like, I think of all the guys that we're going to name, Sale would be the most likely, even though the GM came out and said it. But at the same time,
I still think
if
he's
I still think that he will listen. Like, I think that's more to set a market for Sale, where it's like, you're going to have to blow me away, and maybe some team will. So I don't think that's outlandish. I have another one.
Oh,
It's also
yeah, let's hear it.
crazy.
I have nothing else other than that. Sale was going to be the only one I could think of.
I'm telling you, these closed-minded guys, they can't think open mind like me. You got to open the brain.
How do you do that? Do you take like gummies every night? Like how do you open your
I think
mind
it'd be
like that?
illegal to say how I do it on this podcast. I think it'd be illegal.
Got it.
So
Okay.
what I'm going to say is next one up. I'm looking at teams who have a hole and a team who can take on a ton of money. And I think about the Dodgers and I think about their shortstop position. What are they going to do there? Now, of course, Mookie's playing short, but Michael Conforto couldn't hit water if he fell off a boat. So I'm sure they would like if they could move Mookie back to the outfield. Who's a team trying to probably get out from some money? The Minnesota Twins. Could Correa
Mm,
be a player that
mm.
the Dodgers at least call? Now, I don't know if the Twins would do it. I don't know what a package would look like. But if the Twins start to falter a little bit, that's a dude. You bring him to LA with his postseason pedigree to compete with the Giants, who just brought over Devers. Oh no, they might actually do it. Will they? Oh no. Oh no, I might have spoken it into existence. What if they get Correa?
And then he would be fantastic again.
He'd be so good. Jack?
Last time I ever bring this up, I promise. Are the Dodgers disincentivized of doing this because of 2017? Like, think about the 2017 history there with Carlos Correa. He was the guy that pissed them off more than anyone.
I like that. I don't think Andrew Friedman would
We're
care.
we're so far
We're
removed
so
from it.
far. But I like that shout. You're right, because the one player they
Like the
probably hate the
Yankee
most.
fan base and the Dodger fan base hate
Hate him.
Correa because
Yeah.
he sunk his teeth into this.
So true. I think Dodger fans would be like, it's been so long. If you can come over and help us, like, we don't care. And when he comes over, he will help them. Now, I'm saying he will go over as if this is a foregone conclusion. Not at all. I just think it fits the answer to this question.
I do think that is a good one because they definitely need to get out from, at least they make it seem like that. We'll see, based on if they sell and that whole aspect of things. But I do think that's a good one.
Let's move over to question number 8. Who are the sophomores that are surprisingly taking a step back or a step forward? This was asked again on Instagram from Moritsugu.Ryan. I definitely butchered that name, but shout out Ryan. My one for taking a slight step back that I am surprised about. Jackson Chorio has dropped off. Just hasn't been quite the same guy. I thought he was going to be a torpedo to the top of the MVP leaderboards this year. And he's got like a 734 OPS. And it's really not great defense. So it's good defense. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not, well, he has such a high floor because he is such an elite defender. He isn't. And he plays in a corner, or, he plays center field sometimes, but he's not the greatest defender in the world. And when you have a 730 OPS, like, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed. It's not crazy drop off, but it is noticeable.
I think I honestly, the reason why the Chorio one surprises me so much is because of how well he played down the stretch of the season and in the postseason in the early going. Like, it was like, oh, he settled in after the first half and figured it out. And now he's performing on the big stage. He's got it, right? So to see him then come back this year and look like first half Chorio again, it is a little confusing almost because it doesn't fit what I think we aligned to believe what the track of the season was, which was I'm settling in, boom, I'm a superstar and I've arrived. But that's what happens sometimes. Obviously, we've seen it with a lot of players, and I don't think it changes his long-term outlook too much. But I agree. I kind of thought this was stamping superstardom year for Jackson Chorio. But it is easy to forget how young he is.
Could just be a second half guy.
Sure.
What if he just takes off in the second half again? Who knows? Jack, did you have an answer?
Yeah, my bad is his teammate, Joey Ortiz. I was not expecting to be anywhere close to a negative WAR player. Like, I thought the defense was going to make him a 2-win player at this point regardless, but that's just not the case right now. I'm not sure what's going on with him, but I will skew to the other side. I did not think Andy Pages could be this good. And I know we've talked about him a decent bit, but I thought he could be good. He's great right now. Next level greats. All-star.
Almost like, should we think pre-arb extension?
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that one because I thought And I was going back to the scouting report that I wrote on him because he was a guy that was a prospect for a while. So I had a few through the years. And I had always said, like, I think he could play center, like great plus corner, get by in center. I didn't think he'd be an asset in center the way he is. I thought maybe I put like a 50 grade on the glove in center field. He's 55 plus. And then the bat, I definitely saw above average power, but I don't know if you could envision this consistent hit tool wise and just like the legs being this much a part of his game. Like it is tools across the board for him. So I would say Pages has been definitely a pleasant surprise, even though I've been very bullish on him as well. Does Logan O'Hoppe count as a sophomore given that he was hurt for like a whole year? Can that one count?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, because Ben Simmons won Rookie of the Year.
Like, because you had 51 games in 2023 from O'Hoppe, but he was hurt, and then last year was his first real full season. I've just been so surprised at how much he's struggling to hit. The approach has just been brutal. He's walking 4% of the time. He's striking out at 34% clip, and the defense hasn't been good, which is the most shocking thing. He defended really well last year. So I know he's not like a true sophomore, but nobody's a true sophomore in college anymore these days anyway. So, and then Yainer Diaz as well. I've just been a little bit surprised by him.
I wrote him down too.
Struggles. And I know he's technically not a sophomore because it was like 100 games and 148, but I'm still kind of counting that as like a sophomore and a half. I thought he'd take another leap offensively this year, but he might be a second half guy as well.
And a few risers real quick. I mean, PCA is a super easy answer of a guy who's just taken a massive leap in year 2. Addison Barger has been great. You guys just broke him down yesterday. And you know what? Shout out Nolan Shanwell. Came up.
He's better than I thought.
He's about a league average hitter last year, maybe a tick above. And then this year he's been a 120 WRC plus guy. He's not flashy. He doesn't hit a ton of home runs, but he hits and he walks and he's a pretty good player. Pretty good player.
When are we going to start saying his name right?
What is it? Not Nolan Shanwell?
Shawnwell.
Shawnwell.
You got
That's
it.
on me. That's on
you
me.
got it. Next time, you got it.
All right, last question. Who is a player come deadline that will get traded and the baseball world will say, whoa, they got that back for him? Good for X team. This is asked by Walker Jenkins Fan Club on Twitter. I got an answer of a pitcher that's a rental that I think is going to get traded, and you're going to be like, the Nationals got what? Michael Soroka and his 5.06 ERA. I think he's going to get the Nationals back a decent prospect. He has great underlying numbers. 24% strikeout rate to a 5% walk rate with a 47% ground ball rate. He's making $9 million this year. He's going to be a rental. Like, I think, with his pedigree from the past, looking healthy, the results haven't been there. The Nationals defense does him zero favors. He's also got a home run issue. You look at his xFIP, it's expected to come way down. The home run to fly ball rate is not sustainable. I think the Nationals are going to get like a pretty good prospect for him, and people are going to be like, why? And call that like a bad trade, and then he's going to go over to a contender and like pitch pretty damn well.
I like that shout. I've got one for you. People are going to be floored at what Pittsburgh gets back for Dennis Santana.
I was going to write him down too. He's been good.
He's been like nasty. You look at his Savant page, man. I don't say pages are gushing blood, but like Dennis Santana's page is beet red right now. Dennis Santana throwing his slider more than any pitch. Opponents are slugging 164 against it. And oh, by the way, they're hitting 188 against his four-seam fastball. Santana this year is 29 years old. He's making $1.4 million. You get another year of control next year. Santana is one of the best setup guys in Major League Baseball right now. And like Bednar could be on the move. Bednar has been the sexy name. I guarantee you there are going to be people. It's like, oh, Chicago, like the Cubs just got Dennis Santana and they had to give up somebody legit or like two semi-legit prospects. And they're like, why did we do that for a setup guy? Because this guy's really good, Dennis Santana.
I love that shout.
I was thinking, I wish he had a little bit more control, but Zach Littell,
sure,
he's just consistent, and at pitching market, like an arm like that, I think will get you a nice return. And the Rays always clean on those types of deals, so I think Littell could get a nice return. That was one of the top names I was thinking of. The other that it doesn't come with control, and it's semi obvious because he's playing well. But I think just the idea when you see the Ryan O'Hearn trade go down, it's gonna be like, wow, who would have thought Ryan O'Hearn would ultimately get them that? I know that people will be a little bit more braced for that because he's playing so well, but I still think no matter what, we're not going to be fully prepared for what he could bring in. And then one other, Reed Detmers. So I just think the Angels and Reed Detmers situation has just always been weird, and I don't know the details behind it, but I'd imagine he wasn't thrilled about how he was handled last year. Now he's been thrusted into a bullpen role where he's proven that his fastball can really play and his stuff is legit. But I know that the Angels aren't ever going to fully sell, but I do just wonder if they're just at a situation here where the Angels didn't want to sell low on him, so that's why they didn't trade him in the past. But I presume that they had probably listened to some offers. Now that he's at least an elite looking bullpen arm from the left side, that you still think you could probably transition back into a rotation if you wanted to. I think a lot of teams for a player with control would make some pretty substantive offers for to the Angels, and maybe it's not a full prospect package. It could be a big league piece and then some other prospects and a weird classic Angels move that is like win now but also not. Like I could see Detmers and his control and just his ability on the mound. Casual fan may see the numbers and say, "Whoa, we got a guy with this ERA over the last couple of years, and we gave up this." But you're getting a really talented arm with control that could be used in various roles.
Love those shouts. And I think that'll do it for this episode of the Just Baseball Show, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Remember, folks, download BetMGM, whether that be on iOS or Android, and use promo code Just Baseball to get that first bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first wager loses. But remember, gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply. The best way to support the Just Baseball Show, rate and review Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your pods, as well as subscribing, liking, commenting on YouTube. And again, if you want to be featured in the next mailbag, make sure to follow us on Instagram or Twitter. And also, if you want a higher chance, a much higher chance of your question getting answered, make sure to go check out the Discord. And we don't just do mailbags for the Discord. We're answering questions in that thing all day long. So if you want to join the best baseball group chat in the world, hit the link in our episode description. From Jacob Bullen, Aram Layton, have a great weekend. And with that, thank you, everybody.